You're listening to the Yahoo Finance Small Cap Show, powered by AGORACOM.com, the web's leading small cap portal.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the show. My name is Al O'Grady, and with us today is the CEO of VMS Ventures, Mr. Rick Mark. VMS Ventures is focused on acquiring, exploring, and developing copper, zinc properties in Manitoba, Canada, primarily in the Flin Flon Snow Lake VMS belt. It also holds the largest land package in Canada's third largest nickel-producing camp, and we'll be learning more about its projects and where it's headed in just a moment. VMS trades on the TSX Venture Exchange under the symbol VMS. Mr. Mark, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Al. Great to be here.
Okay, Rick, let's jump right into it. What's the latest with VMS Ventures?
Well, VMS Ventures has a tremendous land package in what is known to be a very prolific copper-zinc belt in Manitoba, Canada. Lots of infrastructure. There's roads, there's electricity, there's mills and smelters through Hudbay Mining Company. So we feel like we're in a tremendous position to go out and find deposits. And in the summer of 2007, we were fortunate enough to drill into a very rich copper deposit, which has turned into what is now known as the Reed Lake Discovery, quite close to Snow Lake and about 100 meters from a highway that connects the two mining communities of Snow Lake and Flin Flon. The discovery has given us a great deal of attention in the mining investment community. The question now is, how big is that deposit going to be, and how quickly can we get it out of the ground?
Okay, so what's on your timetable for 2009?
Well, our partner in part of the deposit is Hudbay, and so effectively we have a built-in mining partner right beside us. We're expecting that we'll be sharing information with Hudbay shortly, and we're hoping that they're going to take a look at this and say, you know what, that high-grade copper is close enough to the surface, and the deposit is close enough to the roadway and infrastructure that we'd like to get digging and get mining quickly. And I think in a best-case scenario, that go forward could happen in the next 30 to 60 days. And we think there's about a 2-year window till ore could be coming out of the ground. And that would change our profile immediately. We would be seen to be a producer as a partner in that deposit. Institutions would begin to invest in the company when they looked at the size and the revenue stream of the deposit itself. So we're very excited that we're getting close to a business decision on this, and I think it's a great opportunity for people looking at the company for the first time.
Okay. You had a recent announcement where VMS announced that silver and gold results for the Reed Lake discovery. What's the significance of finding gold and silver in an area predominantly copper and zinc?
Well, it's interesting because there have been a number of deposits found and mined in this belt. And so one can kind of look at typical credits for copper, zinc, gold, and silver. Certainly the more gold and silver, the better, because those are real dollars that are coming out of the ground, and they assist in the operation. Typically copper is the number one metal that we're looking for. But what we announced is that we didn't see what would be called belt-level gold and silver credits in the holes we've drilled thus far. Our point was that that's probably a good thing. Typically, when we get to the mineralized center of this deposit, you're going to find that gold and silver credit rising. So the message that we wanted to get to our shareholders is, boy, we haven't found the center of this. This is going to be a bigger deposit. And, of course, our management believes that is the case. And it's open at depth, and it's open to the southwest, and it's open to the east. So we think there's lots more ore to be found. And when we get into that gold and silver credit area, we know we're getting closer to the real core of the deposit.
Okay, let's talk about the company's books. Obviously, cash is king. What's your balance sheet like?
As of today, end of February, we have approximately $14 million in the bank. We're taking a very prudent approach to our exploration this year. It's always an interesting challenge with our geologists who have all kinds of things they want to do. As I mentioned, we have some tremendously prospective properties outside of our deposit. And in fact, we're going to, and are incurring right now, a small drill program on a project called Puella Bay. Very much the same kind of target, VMS mineralization, copper zinc deposits we're looking for. But we're going to do it with small budgets as the year goes on. I anticipate we'll spend about $2 million in exploration this year. and we should enter 2010 within the neighborhood of $11.5–12 million in the bank. So we're going to make sure that that capital lasts, and we'll see how our negotiations with our potential mining partner goes to see if we can get that Reed Lake deposit out of the ground.
Okay. Why Manitoba? Was it something that, hey, we like Manitoba and we'll find something within that? Or...
Well, my partner, John Rosendahl, who's the president of the company, is Manitoba-based, and John's network has brought two outstanding Manitoba geologists to the team. A guy called George Gale is our VP Exploration, and George ran the Mineral Deposits Division for the government of Manitoba for some 35 years. He's an international expert in VMS deposits, and we recruited him a little bit early before his retirement and said, George, would you like to go find some VMS deposits with us? He really set the property package in play, Al, and we're there early. The neighborhood has been much, much busier since our discovery, but we like our land package. And then we added a gentleman named Mark Fedico, who is one of the world leaders in what's called MMI, a geochemistry technique, looking for deposits that are covered by either sand or gravel, or in the case of the Manitoba environment, limestone. And we know that there's a lot of deposits in the covered area of this belt, and with John and George and Mark, we have three of the very best Manitoba geologists on our team.
Okay, so obviously Manitoba, that's your backyard. Do you have any visions of in the future, say, going to Ontario or BC as far as more mining plays are concerned?
Well, you know, in this environment, we really want to see what happens with the deposit first. But in a positive scenario where we end up in a mining scenario, I think then what we'll do is we'll set up a small little consulting division looking at M&A opportunities. We will be solid in our cash position. We'll have a revenue stream in the future laid out in front of us through the mining opportunity. And we can take a look at what's out there. And right now there's some bargains, and I think it's something that we anticipate doing. We don't necessarily then have to stay in Manitoba if there are opportunities outside Manitoba. We really feel we have a chance to be a much bigger company over the next 3 to 5 years.
Okay. If I'm an investor and I'm looking at a small cap mining play and I'm looking at VMS, what sets you apart from the guy down the street?
Well, there's no question that the asset does. The discovery is significant. Those that go to the website will look at the drill hole results, incredible grades in copper. That's advantaged by the fact the infrastructure is there. We don't have to ship this thing thousands of miles from the Northwest Territories. The government is friendly. We're in a politically stable environment. So for a deposit to come out of the ground, I think the advantages are there. In the shorter term, we're well cashed up, and of course the management knows what it's doing in this province, and I think there's an edge in all three of those areas.
Okay. Markets have certainly been challenging, to say the least. How have you been weathering the storm?
Well, you know, like everyone else, our stock price has dropped with the cascading negativity. It's found a level here. We're being valued somewhere around $25 million. We have $14 million in the bank, and that tells me that our share of this deposit is only being valued at $9 million. We think that's a screaming buy in the sense that if this thing can come out of the ground, we're certainly going to see more for it than that. And as I mentioned to you, we think it's going to be much bigger. So that's a solid bet in the short term for I think for an exploration company, for people looking for some sort of lift in this environment. I think getting a mining announcement should make a difference in our stock price, and certainly as that work then begins to go on and this project gets bigger, we'll absolutely grow with it.
Okay. Stock market, only part of the equation. Commodity price is another part of the equation.
Absolutely. And again, I think the grade in our deposit, and for those that understand that end of it, if you take a look at the grade and some of the results, it's quite remarkable. Grade always helps. That means if you can get that high-grade copper out of the ground, you can make money even if the copper prices are lower than we would like them to be. Certainly, if we're looking at a 2-year time frame and people want to speculate on where copper is going to be in 2 or 3 years, that's when we would start to see revenue coming out of the mine regardless. It's a challenge, but I think, again, we have the advantages with grade and infrastructure that would put us ahead of other, perhaps less attractive mines in the queue.
Okay. Rick, that's it as far as the formal questions are concerned. As always, you get the last word. Anything, any final thoughts? Anything that you'd like to add right now?
Well, Al, for investors, I think it's important that they know our commitment to communicating with our shareholders. The AGORACOM IR Hub is something we're using for the first time. I mentioned to you earlier, we tend to write a note to our email audience, and we'll use AGORACOM in the same way so that they know what we're thinking. It's not simply a matter of putting out results. I think it's important that our shareholders know what we're doing. That's why I'm doing this interview today, and we make a commitment to responding to our shareholders. We're a phone call away in this office in Vancouver, and we look forward to meeting new investors through AGORACOM.
Okay. On that note, Rick, I want to thank you very much for your time and sharing your thoughts with us about VMS Ventures.
My pleasure, Al.
Okay. And VMS Ventures trades on the TSX Venture Exchange under the symbol VMS. And you've been listening to Rick Mark, CEO of VMS Ventures, on today's Yahoo Small Cap Show, produced by AGORACOM. I'm Al O'Grady. Thanks for joining us.